As the new year approaches, you will likely see many of your favorite creators talking about New Year's resolutions. Many of them talking about why you shouldn't set New Year's resolutions. And I can understand why. I mean, something like 45% of all resolutions fail by the end of January, not even a whole month. And if you follow those through for a few more months, really only like 1 out of 10 people actually stick to the resolutions for a whole year. 90% will quit within the first couple of months. Isn't that wild? Like 90% is a huge number. I mean, the thought of that alone just sounds crazy. But when you start to look at why, it all sort of makes sense. People tend to overextend themselves by setting an unimaginable number of goals, which ultimately leads to none of them being met. Or if we're keeping it a buck, they set goals that just aren't realistic for them to begin with. You know, they get this idea of what a good goal would be, and so they set it and just dive into the deep end without thinking of whether or not they can actually reach it. And while I'm fully aware of all that, I completely understand, I also disagree with all the other creators. I think New Year's resolutions are a great idea. In fact, I encourage you to set them. However, the manner in which you pursue them needs to be a little bit more nuanced than you might think, so keep watching to find out what I mean. But real quick, if you're new here and don't know who I am, my name is Edgar. I make weekly videos on self-help and philosophical topics. If that sounds kind of interesting to you, then consider subscribing because I would really appreciate it. Now let's jump right into how to stick to those New Year's resolutions. Okay, first and foremost, achieving anything in life must start with desire. We won't exert any effort towards achieving something if it's not something that we really want. So that's why tip number 1 is set desire-based goals. When you first sit down to write out your resolutions, ask yourself, in the next year, what can I do or change that will genuinely make me happier or make my life better? Whatever the answer is, set your goals around that. Now, I know this sounds simple enough, but I do think a big part of why people don't stick to the resolutions is because they set generic goals that other people tell them they should care about. You have things like working out, losing weight, just eating out less. These are all great things and you should want to do them, but you shouldn't have to force yourself to want to do them. You either care or you don't. So when it comes to writing your resolutions this year, think about that first and foremost. Okay, tip number 2. Now, I'm all for getting specific with goal setting. In fact, I have an entire video on setting better goals and how to use the SMART goal setting method to improve the way you write your goals. But when it comes to New Year's resolutions, I kind of have an issue with it. You see, too often people set goals for things that they're entirely new to, like working out, but they want to feel like they're going hard or they're doing enough, so they set some crazy goal like, I'm going to work out 5 days a week for the whole year. Again, exercising 5 days a week is a great idea. You should do it, but setting a goal that big if you're completely new to it is just setting you up for failure, which is why tip number 2 is give yourself some wiggle room with numbers. The problem with being too rigid with your numbers is that if you commit to working out 5 days a week in blood, but one week you're just completely exhausted and try as you might, you just can't bring yourself to go to work out that 5th day, it's really easy to get caught up in that and see it as a lack of commitment. Of course, this isn't necessarily true because you should listen to your body when it tells you it needs rest. But if you're dead set on 5 days and you go only 4 or even 3, it's not hard to see that as a failure of the resolution, which can lead to the dreaded words, well, I guess I'll try again next year. And then you give up on your entire resolution for the year just because you couldn't stick to the 5 days a week. So give yourself some wiggle room. Okay, tip number 3. Tell me if this sounds familiar at all. You set a resolution to do something or stop doing something like eating junk food, for example, but you tell no one about it. You're committed to it and you believe that you have the discipline to do it on your own. This works out well for a little while, but one day you find yourself tempted to just break the resolution and have a little slice of cake. You think to yourself, hey, if I do it this one time, nobody will know because I didn't tell anybody. So you go for it and that single moment spirals into allowing yourself to do it again and again and again until you give up on your resolution entirely. Yeah, you've been there before? Well, that's why tip number 3 is set your resolutions publicly. Naval says that when you make a commitment to do something, he uses quitting alcohol, for example, and you tell yourself, I'm committed, I have self-control, I'm going to stop by sheer willpower. It hardly ever works out. He suggests that what you should do instead is, go on social media like Facebook, for example, and post to all your friends, hey everyone, I want to announce here that in the new year, I am no longer going to be drinking alcohol. This will do 2 things for you. 1, it will create a support system. If the people that you have on your Facebook page really are your friends, then they will be there to support you and ensure that you stick to the resolution for as long as you said you would. The second thing it does is it creates accountability. Chances are the people in your network want to see you win. So when you publish a goal for all to see, it creates accountability not only for yourself, but to all of them who believe in you. This in turn creates an external source of motivation to help you follow through. Okay, tip number 4. The gap between the idea for improvement and the actual execution is a huge holdup for a lot of people when it comes to New Year's resolutions. Come December 1st, you spend all this time planning out your resolution and building up how great it's going to feel to accomplish, but at the same time, worrying about how difficult it might be. You spend so much time thinking about it that by the time it comes around, it feels like this monumental task. With that said, tip number 4 is set the resolution, but don't wait till the new year.
But doesn't that kind of defeat the whole purpose of a New Year's resolution?
Not really. I mean, there's no rules to this shit. There's really no reason to wait until the new year to start a resolution aside from the fact that that's what most people do. My philosophy is more akin to what Pablo Picasso said about procrastination. Only put off until tomorrow what you are willing to die having left undone. In fact, I did this exact thing last year. I wanted to start a YouTube channel, so I set a resolution to do it, but as I sat around thinking about it, I realized that I didn't have to wait until the new year started to actually do it. That's when my first video was posted on December 23rd, 2023. Yeah, I practice what I preach. This isn't just a bunch of bullshit. There's also that one ancient Chinese proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is now. Achieving goals takes time. Becoming who you want to be takes time, so why not just give yourself a little extra time by starting now rather than waiting until the new year comes around? After all, the sooner you start, the sooner you see results, and ultimately, aren't the results the thing we're really after anyway? But with that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out this video next, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.